asatyare satya kori asatyare satya kori mani asatyare satya kori mani Nityayer koruna hoye Braje Radha Krishna Pade Nityayer koruna hare Braja Radha Krishna Pade Naro Nitai Charana Dukhani Naro Nitai Naro Nitai Charana Dukhani Naro Nitai Nityayer charana satya Tahara sevaka nitya Nityayer charana satya Tahara sevaka nitya Nitai pada sada koro asha Nitai pada sada koro asha Nitai pada sada koro asha Nitai pada Naratama bolo dhuki Nitai more koro shuki Naratama bolo dhuki Nitai more koro shuki Rakoranga Charanera Pasha Rakoranga Charanera Pasha Rakoranga Charanera Pasha Rakoranga Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, Hare Rama, pay attention. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No, Nick, you were doing it right.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if you were talking to me.
Is this the-
So.
In the call and response, you have to pay attention. What is going on? Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So this is a translation of this song Nityananda Nishta, Faith in Lord Nityananda, from the Prarthana by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of moons. Koti Chandra means millions of moons. I know a devotee named Koti Chandra. It's a great name. Millions of moons. Actually, Koti means 10 million. 10 million moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his valuable human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrollable animal. Because he never honored the holy name of Nityananda, he has become merged into so-called material happiness. What can his useless education and family tradition do to help him? Vidya Kule. How can that education and good family situation help one? It can't. Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, oh, what is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he's accepting false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He is merciful toward you. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottam Das is very unhappy. This is a great line. Narottamo Bodo Duki. Duki means not happy. The Narottam, he's very unhappy. Let's see here. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close to your lotus feet. Narottam Bodo Duki. Narottam saying, oh, I am so unhappy. Nitai Moro Koro Suki. But Lord Nityananda, you are so happy. Therefore, keep me close to your lotus feet. That way I won't be unhappy. I'll become happy also. It's a good strategy. like physics. If you get close to Lord Nityananda, who's very happy, then your unhappiness will vanish. So that's the song by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Koti Chandra. Yeah. They were in like a high holy season here, because last week was the 7th day of the moon, of the waxing moon in the month of Magh, and that's the appearance of Advaita Acharya. Then we have the Kadasi on Monday, the 11th day, an auspicious day, and then yesterday, the 12th day of the moon, the Varaha Dwadasi, appearance of Lord Varahadev, and then today, the Trayodasi, the 13th day of the moon, the appearance day of Sri Nityananda Ram. And then in a couple of days, it will be the Purnim. Is that the appearance day of Narottam? Purnim. And then a month from now, there's another Purnim called Gora Purnim. That's the next Purnim after this one on Friday, and that is the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's kind of, for Vaishnavas, the high holy season. Nice. So many nice opportunities to hear and chant the glories of these great personalities and incarnations of the Lord. All of them incarnations. Advaita Acharya, Lord Varahadev, and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Maybe this thing, scroll back up a little faster here. All right. So, to understand the ontology of who is Sri Nityananda Prabhu, we of course can turn to the Adi Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a very dense philosophical understanding of Lord Sri Krishna and his expansions, culminating the understanding that Lord Krishna appears as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this has been nicely summarized in simple form by Narottam Das Thakur in one song, this nice song, Hari Hari Bipale Janma Goyanu, from also the same work, Prarthana, that's this song we sang. He says, Brajendra Nandana Jai, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Jai. That Brajendra Nandana, the son of the king of Braj, son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Jai. He has come as the son of Sachi, Mother Sachi, the wife of Jagannath Mishra. And he has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the next line, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Lord Balaram has come as Nityananda. So this is the identity of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, is that he is Balaram. He is Balaram in Krishna Lila. He is Lakshmana in Ram Lila. And so whenever Krishna comes, he likes to come with his associates and perform his pastimes. And of course, of all the pastimes of the Lord in his various forms, the pastimes of Vrindavan are like the summum bonum, the topmost, the epitome of Krishna's pastimes. And that is all revealed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, he comes as a devotee of Krishna, in the mood and sentiment and complexion of Radhabhava, of the nature and love of Srimati Radharani. So Lord Nityananda comes as well, as Balaram, the brother of Krishna, and his associate, and taking part in his many pastimes. So Nitai does the same thing in Chaitanya Lila. But there are also some different individual variations, as the Lord is not static and he is not bound by any rules and regulations other than what he himself establishes. So, as we know, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in 1486. But 12 years previous to that, or prior to that, he appeared, Lord Nityananda appeared. So he's, if you're looking at the historical facts and figures, he's 12 years senior to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he appeared in a place in Bengal called Ekachakradam. And there is an ISKCON temple there in Ekachakradam. Did you go? Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I was looking at, I saw on a Facebook video feed this morning some bhajans from Ekachakradam. It was one old lady chanting. And then some brahmacharis, and of course they're very expert singers, and they're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and they're big congregation of people. That would have been this evening there. So it was pretty ecstatic, and the picture of the temple was just incredible. I don't know if that was, it looked like an artist rendering.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. It's like they got big jai.
Yeah.
Glass window.
Krishna consciousness is bigger in India than it is here. we can confidently say that. Much bigger, big congregation there. Big congregation.
They probably all came.
Yeah, I'm sure they all came in from far and wide. And that part of Bengal, that Ekachakradam, is in a place called Radhadesh, where the Ganges does not flow. So Lord Nityananda, as a child, he is the son of Hadai Oja and Mother Padmavati, and Hadai Oja is also known as Hadai Pandit. Obviously, great devotees of the Lord to have Lord Nityananda appear as their son. And he was a most unusual child. He was always absorbed in ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. He's Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna, but Lord Balaram exhibits this mood of Krishna consciousness, that I am the servant of Krishna. Although he is Krishna himself, his primary expansion, and Prabhupada says there's no difference between Krishna and Balaram, except they are different in color. But he is the Lord, but he thinks of himself as the servant of Krishna. So he is simultaneously Krishna and simultaneously the servant of Krishna. That's called Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Achintya means, how can you understand? Inconceivable. Achintya Bheda Bheda, one and different. Just like it's explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the living entities, about us. Jivera Surapoi, Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatashta Shakti, Bheda Bheda Prakash. That we are the servants of Krishna, the Jivas. Eternally, that is our position, that is our identity, that is our constitution, that's what we are, that's who we are. Krishnera Tatashta Shakti, we are the marginal energy, Tatashta Shakti, of Krishna. Bheda Bheda Prakash, simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. So, just like that one verse we're always fond of quoting and that you hear a lot, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahonam Yovididati Kaman. There is one supreme eternal, Nityo, Nityanam, and there are many little eternals. Where there's one big master and many little servants. There's one God and many living entities. The Chaitananas, Chaitananam, and there is one supreme consciousness and many individual particles of consciousness. So that is our identity. So some people will think, well, I am God. But no. Eko Bahunam Yovididati Kaman. The one, Eko, is maintaining the many, the Bahu. So we are being maintained by the Supreme. We are not supreme in any form of fashion or conceivable way are we supreme. We are subordinate. We are dependent. That's called Tatashta Shakti. So Krishnera Tatashta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash. One with and different from the Lord. And that is the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. That is the real truth, the real understanding of how things are. So back to Lord Nityananda in Eka Chakradam. There's an interesting statement here in this source I'm following along. Swayam Prakash Nityananda, he is the source of all the other incarnations. So Lord Krishna expands himself first to Balaram. And then from Balaram, he expands himself to the Chatur Vyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, who are that's called the Chatur Vyuha, the fourfold expansions of the Lord. And then from them, there's another expansion of Chatur Vyuha. And then from them come the Purusha avatars, the Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu, as well as the thousand-headed Ananta Shesh. So these are all coming from Balaram, and Nityananda is Balaram. That's who he is. He's not some feature or some particle or something like that. He is Lord Balaram, the original Lord Balaram himself, directly. That's called Swayam Prakash. That means direct manifestation. So from him, some of the other avatars are coming. Just like Advaita Acharya, he is avatar of Mahavishnu. So he's coming from Balaram, from Nityananda. And they have some very interesting pastimes together. Especially right after Lord Chaitanya took sannyasi, he went to Advaita Acharya's house to see Mother Sachi and all the devotees. And that was like the last time he saw Mother Sachi, and she cooked for him. And they took prasadam together, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Advaita Acharya. And then Nityananda and Advaita had some food fight pastimes and some name-calling pastimes. And in their name-callings, they appear to be criticizing each other, but they're actually glorifying their transcendental qualities simultaneously. But we're not going to explain that pastime in detail. And Nityananda Prabhu is also known as the predominating deity of the Sandini energy of God, which means he's the sustainer of the spiritual world and the source of pure goodness. So there's Samvit, Sandini, and Hladini, the divisions of the energies of the Lord. And they correspond to Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So the Hladini Shakti is Radharani. So that is the Ananda feature. She tastes the ecstasy of Radha Bhava, of Krishna consciousness, pure love of Krishna, serving him wonderfully. So Krishna consciousness comes under that, you could say, purview of the Hladini Shakti, or the Ananda feature of the Lord. So the highest bliss is what? Getting a big room and all the maha you can eat? No, that's blissful, yes, the maha especially. But the highest pitch of Ananda is personified by Srimati Radharani. So she's the Hladini Shakti. And Lord Balaram, or Nityananda, is the predominating deity of the Sandini energy. That's the energy of existence, Sat. So Sat, Chit, and Ananda. And Lord Balaram interacted with Krishna in 3 different modes in Braj. Sometimes as guru, sometimes as friend, and sometimes as servant. And Lord Nityananda was like that with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And thus he engages in service and fulfills the desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, assists him in his pastimes. So when Nityananda was a child there in Ekachakra, he was very fond of, as his childhood play, performing these Ram Leela pastimes, along with his friends, his playmates. So they weren't looking at, Spider-Man on the cell phone screen or, something like that, or watching Sesame Street or, whatever is current in contemporary society. But they were engaged in enacting and reenacting the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And Lord Nityananda would always play the part of Lakshman in these pastimes. And not only that, he orchestrated and directed the pastimes, and all the other, his cowherd boyfriends would follow in his lead. And amazingly, everyone was amazed, all the adults and the inhabitants of the village, all the parents, and Lord Nityananda knowing these pastimes. How did he know these pastimes? And he knew all these pastimes that weren't even there in the Ramayana. He knew more pastimes. How did he know those pastimes? Well, he was there. He was a witness and participant in all those pastimes. And the Lord has unlimited pastimes. Advaita Machuta Mananta Mananda Rupam Madhyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. So he was manifesting these incredible pastimes, and they were coming to life right in front of everyone's eyes. And no one could understand how this child knows all these things and how he's engaging everyone. So he's engaging all the boys, all the parents, the whole village in these Ram Leela pastimes. And everyone was completely enchanted and absorbed in ecstasy and completely unable to understand who is this Nitai and how is he doing all this? But they loved it. It was very wonderful. And he was also very attractive and beautiful. As Chaitanya Bhagavat says, he gives a little description here. We'll give you a little taste of the beauty of Lord Nityananda. Mukuta Janiya Sri Dashanera Jyotihayata Aruna Dvilo Chana Subhati. The effulgence of his teeth defeated that of pearls, and his 2 broad reddish eyes increased the beauty of his face. Like Baladev, he wore blue cloth on his upper and lower limbs. He held a water pot made of cane in his left hand. I've never seen a water pot made of cane, but they obviously must make it in such a way that it doesn't leak. When you think of a water pot, you think of clay or metal, like brass, but he had a water pot made of cane. Very lightweight, good for traveling. And he's also called Avadut, Nityanando Avadutender. He's the moon amongst all the Avaduts. He has a carefree mood, and he's so absorbed in love of Godhead that no one knows what he will do next. So this was going on. Lord Nityananda, and there was this tree that was a Bakula tree, which was a manifestation of Anantadev, and had all these branches like the many-hooded Ananta, the serpent with 1,000 hoods. And the boys would jump from one branch to another in their Leela. So he was
still there.
Was
it still there?
That Bakula tree? Yeah. So once upon a time, a sannyasi came to Ekachakradam, and his name is Lakshmipata Tirtha, and he is a spiritual master of Srila Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's also the spiritual master of Sri Advaita Acharya. And there are differing views on Lord Nityananda, whether he is the disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha or Srila Madhavendra Puri. But some have concluded he's the disciple of both of these, inconceivably, in different ways. So Lakshmipati Tirtha, traveling sannyasi, came to the village. Adai Pandit, please come in, sit down, take prasadam, stay the night. So in the morning, when he was going to leave, the tradition is that sannyasi begs alms from the householder. So Hadai Pandit offered him, please let us give you alms. We will give you anything you like. Whatever you like, we will give you. He gave his word like this. And so Lakshmipati Tirtha said, well, I'm traveling to all the holy places. This is a pilgrimage all over India. I need a companion, a brahmachari, a companion servant to assist me. So please give me your son. And Hade Pandit was like an arrow struck his heart. No, not Nitai, the dearest beloved son, who's the supreme personality of Godhead. How can I be separated from my Nitai? And his mother was crying, and they were just thunderstruck, but he had given his word and he had offered. Anything you want, please, I will give you anything I have. So, in this way, it was a very piteous scene of leaving and separation. And Nityananda, at the age of 12, left for touring the holy places of pilgrimage with Lakshmipati Tirtha, who was in the Madhva Sampradaya. And, you know, during the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Balaram, he was very fond of Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was his student, even though Duryodhana was the chief bad guy amongst the Kuru family, and was always envious of the Pandavas, who were great devotees of Krishna. But Duryodhana learned the art of club fighting from Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram didn't want to disturb Krishna's relationship with the Pandavas by taking the other side of Dhritarashtra and his evil son Duryodhana. So instead of taking part in the Kurukshetra war, he left to go on pilgrimage all over India. And during that time, he also killed, what was his name? Ramaharshan. And therefore, who was sitting on the Vyasasana in the assembly of the sages. He killed him because Ramaharshan didn't get up to offer respect. And all the other sages, Lord Balaram came, they all, they got up to offer respect. Ramaharshan just sat there on the Vyasasana. So Lord Balaram killed him with a blade of kusha grass, touched him, bing, vanished. And then his son, Sutta Goswami, was established on the Vyasasana, and then it was he who was the secondary speaker of the Bhagavatam, which is originally spoken by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit. But during this great assembly, Sutta Goswami was recounting the Bhagavatam, which he had heard from Shukadev Goswami. He was present there. So when he did this, all the sages freaked out, just killed the chief Brahmin of the assembly sitting on the Vyasasana. Lord Balaram, excuse us, how could you do this? Of course, he's the independent personality of Godhead. He can do as he likes. And then Lord Balaram said, oh, I'm sorry. You please excuse me. What can I do to make up for this? And they said, why don't you go on pilgrimage to all the holy places of India and atone for this untoward killing of Ramaharsha, the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. Yeah, God is good, but he's good and fired up too. He does many things. So he was already on pilgrimage. He came there, and then he continued that tour of pilgrimage during the Kurukshetra war, not wanting to disturb Krishna and not taking part in the Kurukshetra war. So Lord Nityananda, he's Balaram, so he also had a desire to, just like in his previous appearances, Baladev, to go on pilgrimage throughout India. And this was his opportunity to go with Lakshmipati Tirtha. And he spent traveling with Lakshmipati Tirtha 20 years, a long time. And during their travels, he met Madhavendra Puri, who took initiation from Lakshmipati Tirtha. And some also say that Nityananda was initiated by Lakshmipati Tirtha. And then later, Madhavendra Puri initiated Advaita Charya and Ishwara Puri. He apparently gave some mantra to Nityananda too. So he's considered his spiritual master in this succession, or sometimes Lakshmipati Tirtha. So there are different types of gurus. There's Shiksha Guru and there's Diksha Guru. The Diksha Guru gives the initiation and the Shiksha Guru gives the instruction. But both are manifestations of the same thing. So there is no difference philosophically between the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru. And sometimes in our line of the civic succession, that transmission is not exactly always Diksha, but sometimes it is by Shiksha. A very interesting feature of our Sampradaya that is not always understood. And one time I said to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, who I became close with, that Goswami Maharaj, you were my Shiksha Guru. And he said, well, we haven't exactly worked these things out yet in ISKCON. That is still in development and that hasn't all been understood and sorted out. And I said, no, but truthfully, I said, you are my Shiksha Guru. I said, the only thing is I don't follow any of your instructions. And then he laughed, understanding where I was coming from. And I felt that at moment he accepted me as his Shishya. So that was very nice. And that's an example of Shiksha and Diksha. Sometimes the Shiksha relationship is more prominent than the Diksha relationship. And that's not an offense or any kind of disloyalty, but it's just the natural bhava or way of acting, thinking, feeling, and willing in Krishna consciousness that manifests naturally through relationships, through spiritual relationships. That's a very interesting topic. So later on, Nityananda Prabhu, he was waiting for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to open the floodgates of mercy. So Nityananda Prabhu, also wanted to give out the mercy, but he was not doing that in those 20 years of going on pilgrimage with Lakshmipati Tirtha. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was not exhibiting his full feature as avatar of the delivering the Yuga Dharma of the chanting of the holy names. In his youth, he was doing pastimes of scholarship. And he was this big, puffed up, proud scholar who knew more than anybody. No one could even touch him. And the Vaishnava used to say, if this Nimai Pandit would only become a devotee, then he would be so glorious. But instead, he's all absorbed in, Sanskrit grammar and philosophy and logic and debate. And if only he would become a devotee, then he would be like the greatest devotee. So no one knew about who Lord Chaitanya really was. And then he went to Gaya on pilgrimage to offer Penda after his father passed away. And there he met Ishwara Puri, the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, the grand disciple of Sri Lakshmipati Tirtha. And there was an apparent transformation. He became absorbed in love of Krishna. And then he came back to Navadvip. And everyone was like, well, what happened to Nimai? He's a different person. Now his tears are flowing from his eyes. He's always chanting the name of Krishna. He's absorbed in ecstasy. I mean, what happened to Nimai, the big scholar who would defeat everyone and laugh about it? What is going on here? And that was after meeting his spiritual master. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to manifest his mission as the Yuga avatar, distributing love of God. And Nityananda was waiting for this. He knew, he's Balaram, he knows everything. He knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in Navadvip, and he was just waiting for him to manifest his real feature so that he could join him, because that is his mission in the incarnation as Nityananda, is to assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in spreading the Sankirtan movement. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 20 years old. And Nityananda Prabhu, 12 years his senior, 32 years old. So he was on the road going to pilgrims for 20 years, from age 12 to age 32. Then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to manifest his ecstasy and started the Sankirtan movement with the nocturnal kirtans at the house of Srivas Thakur, then Nityananda Prabhu came there, but he was hiding in the house of Nandanacharya. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a great personality, Nitai, has come. He told Srivas Thakur, go find him. Srivas Thakur couldn't find him. He didn't know where he was. Somewhere in Navadvip, but there was no evidence. Nobody heard of him. Nobody knows. I checked everywhere. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there to the house of Nandanacharya. And there was this incredible scene of their meeting, their Sangha. And they both were exhibiting incredible symptoms of ecstasy, crying, rolling on the ground. And the devotees were like in complete astonishment to see this meeting of the two lords, the two most merciful lords, Parama Karuna, Paun Dvijan, Nitai Gauda Chandra. Parama Karuna means supremely merciful. Pahun Dvijana, these two lords, Nitai and Gauda Chandra, they are the most merciful. Saba Avatara, Sharashiro Mani, Kevala Anandakanda. And of all incarnations, their path, their teaching, their method of Krishna consciousness, Kevala Anandakanda, it is the most blissful path. It is the path of the highest ecstasy. And I'm quoting from the song, Parama Karuna, by Lochan Das Thakur. And then he says, Bajo Bajo Bai, Chaitanya Nitai. Oh, my dear brothers, and oh, my dear mind, just chant the names of Chaitanya Nitai, Sudrida Bishwash Kodi, with great faith and love. And then he says, tellingly and instructively, Bishwa Vishayacharya. Sairase Majjiya. Vishayacharya. Give up your sense gratification. Whoa, didn't see that coming. What? Yes, Krishna consciousness is very nice, full of bliss. Okay, all right, cool. All you have to do is give up sense gratification. Oh, really? Wait a minute now. What am I getting myself into here? Vishayacharya, Sairase Majjiya, Muke Bolo Hari Hari. Give up your sense gratification, and then you can really dive into the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Muke Bolo Hari Hari. Muke means the mouth. And Bolo means to chant. Hari Hari, chant the holy names of the Lord. So that is the song of Lochan Das Thakur. It's a nice song. Maybe we're going to sing it later on when we have the second part of the program starting at 11 o'clock. So, at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had an elder brother named Vishwarupa, who it is said is a manifestation of Lord Shankarshan, who's the expansion of Lord Balaram. So he's not different than Balaram. So you have the two Sankarshans, Nityananda Prabhu and Vishwarupa, the elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Jagannath Misha and Mother Sachi, they had 8 daughters, born one after another, who immediately passed away right after birth. Just like the Vasudeva. And they had, in the prison house of Kamsa, they gave birth to 8 sons, one after another. And they were taken away and killed by Kamsa. So in the same way, they had these 8 daughters. Because these pastimes have things that happen cyclically and in a related way. Then finally, they gave birth to a son, Vishwarupa, and they were so attached to him. And then when he became of age, teenager, Jagannath Mishra was thinking, oh, I have to get my son married. And by the way, the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Gaura Ganesha Deepika, which explains who all the personalities in Chaitanya Leela originally were in Krishna Leela, confirm that Vishwarup was Lord Sankarshan and that Nityananda is also non-different from Sankarshan. And as Vishwarup, the elder brother of little baby Gaura Sundar, he served the Lord by taking him on his lap. And there's a quote from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bari Dekiya Vishwarupa Bhagavan, Ashiya Karena Kole, Anandhiradam. When the most powerful Vishwarup would see his brother, the reservoir of pleasure, he would smile and take him on his lap. Just like sometimes we see our Pradyumnas taking Parikshit on his lap, taking him around and taking care of him. So then when it was time, Jagannath Mishra decided, yes, I must find a suitable girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for my son. That's the duty of the Grihastha. And when Vishwarup heard this, he left home. And he was associating with the Vaishnavas. And Mother Sachi was criticizing that Advaitacharya, he preached to my son, made him all Krishna conscious, and then he wouldn't get married, he left home and took sannyas. That Advaitacharya. Later, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Mother Sachi had to go to Advaitacharya and ask for forgiveness, beg forgiveness at his lotus feet because she had offended him by thinking like that. So Vishwarup left home, he took sannyas, he adopted the sannyas name of Sankararanya, and later he traveled on pilgrimage all over India. Again, a Lord Balaramish thing to do, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on pilgrimage after he had arrived in Jagannath Puri. After taking sannyas, he went on pilgrimage and said, I'm going to look for Vishwarup. I know I heard about him. He took sannyas going in different places. I'm going to go search him out. He did that pilgrimage on the plea. But by the time he found where Vishwarupa was, he had already left this world. And it said that when he disappeared, he merged into Nityananda. Do not try this at home. He remained mixed with Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda came together and they began to propagate the Sankirtan movement. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like the commander of the Sankirtan movement. And he would send devotees out to preach. And one such preaching team, just like sometimes devotees go out on book distribution, two devotees go together, was Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. They were Sankirtan buddies. They went out together preaching. Lord Chaitanya sent them door to door to preach to everyone in the precincts of Navadvip. And then we know they, one time they were out preaching and they saw this big disturbance being created. And as they got closer, it was these two men, Jagai and Madhai, who had formerly been Jagadananda and Madhavananda from Brahmin family. But they were turned into these big criminals, big rogues, pillaging, raping, killing, burning people's houses, stealing. They were the worst of the worst. And Nityananda and Haridas, they had many humorous pastimes together. They were warned, don't go near those two. You will be in trouble. Stay away from them. And Nityananda was thinking that, wow, these two are so fallen. If we can convert them to Krishna consciousness and give them Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, then Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement will become very famous. Because look what they did. They delivered Jagai and Madhai, the worst dacoits that anyone had ever heard of. They were such bad demons. And so Nityananda Prabhu wanted to approach them, and they're creating a big disturbance. They were big drunkards. They were in their drunken state and cursing everyone. And so Nityananda Prabhu approached them and asked them to chant the holy names. And they became completely enraged. And they started chasing Nityananda and Haridas. And Nityananda and Haridas were running for their lives to escape those two. There were other incidences where Nityananda and Haridas would get into trouble and they would blame each other. And then one time they were running from someone who got all mad at them. And Nityananda said, Haridas, this is your fault. And Haridas says, you're just saying that because you can't keep up with me. You're running so fast to get away from trouble. So they were being chased by Jagai and Madhai, and they got away. And then they would come back in the evening and report to Lord Chaitanya what had happened on their preaching adventures. And then Nityananda decided the next day, let's go back. Let's go back and convert these two and give them the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And Haridas was like, no. That is a bad idea. We shouldn't go anywhere near them. I mean, we barely escaped yesterday with our lives. They would have killed us. But Nityananda was determined. And he went back to the brothers. And he said, please chant Hare Krishna. Please give up your sinful ways. Become devotees of the Lord. Chant the holy name. And then one of the brothers they would drink wine out of earthen pots. And he broke the earthen pot and he threw a piece of it at Nityananda and struck him in the forehead, and it began to bleed. But Nityananda was so merciful, he didn't retaliate. He could have easily killed him by his potency. I mean, he killed Romaharshan Sutta with a blade of grass. So he doesn't need any weapon. And one of the brothers, seeing Nityananda compassion, mercy on them, fell at his feet and begged for his mercy. Another brother was like, let me at him. I'm going to kill him. He stopped him. No, no, no. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about this incident, and he was fuming, and he came there and he invoked his Sudarshan chakra, the spinning, fiery disc of death, to behead the two brothers. Just like he invoked his Sudarshan chakra and cut off the head of Shishupal in the Rajasuya Yajna. Again, that freaked everyone out. Hey, you can't do that. He's like one of the kings in the assembly, and chakra. Can't do that. Well, God can do that. He wants to. So don't put yourself in the position of deserving the punishment of the Sudarshan chakra. And Lord Nityananda stopped him. He said, my Lord, in this incarnation, your pastime is not to kill the demons and rascals. If you do that, you'd have to kill like everybody. You know, imagine to wipe out like the whole of First Avenue and Blackledge all the way down to Oracle and all the way up to Campbell. So many demons and rascals, you have to wipe out the whole city of Tucson, the whole civilization on earth, everybody. That chakra would be busy chopping off heads, which Lord Kalki does when he comes at the end of Kali Yuga, riding on his big white horse and his sword. He chops off the heads of all the miscreants, and there are many. It's the big bloody pastime of the Lord. It's not all just sweetness and light, like the sentimentalists think. God is amazing. He does everything. He does chivalrous pastimes, and he fights in battles, and he kills demons and chops their heads off and things like that. Pretty cool stuff, if you ask me. So Lord Nityananda was imploring Lord Chaitanya, don't kill them, give them your mercy, deliver them. Because Lord Chaitanya was like, they made you bleed, they cut your forehead. You were my incarnation, Balaram, my primary expansion, and they've offended you. So then, because of Lord Nityananda's pleading with Lord Chaitanya, he agreed to deliver them. And then the two brothers became repentant. And they also fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Oh, we're such rascals. Please deliver us. Please forgive us. So Lord Chaitanya said, all right. And like, I believe there's a statement somewhere in the Bible, go and sin no more. So from this day forward, you become devotees, and you don't ever once again perform any of the heinous activities previously you were doing, and then all will be forgiven. And they did become great, humble devotees, servants of the Vaishnavas. This Jagai and Madhai, all due to the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who was preaching door to door throughout Bengal and Orissa also, Odisha. So these are just some of the characteristics and pastimes and glories of Lord Nityananda. They're actually very deep and unlimited. There's a description of some of the pastimes of Lord Nityananda that are there in the Chaitanya Bhagavat more extensively than in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But when Lord Chaitanya, after he left the house of Advaita Charya and went to establish his headquarters at Jagannath Puri, Lord Nityananda went with him. And Lord Chaitanya, sometimes he was in very much absorbed in ecstatic mood and not in external consciousness. And during one such episode, Lord Nityananda took Lord Chaitanya's danda and he broke it in 3 parts. And he threw it in the river. And then Lord Chaitanya later came out of his ecstatic trance and said, Nitai, I entrusted you with my danda. Where is it? And then he had to reveal what happened. He broke it and threw it to the river. He says, my only possession, my danda, I'm a sannyasi. And who are you to break it and throw it in the river? And then it's explained by Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Church in Rita that there are 4 stages of sannyas. Bahudak, Kutichak, Hangsa, and Paramahamsa. So in the first 2 stages of sannyas, the lower stages, one carries the danda, but in the 2 higher stages, Hangsa and Paramahamsa, one no longer carries the danda. Paramahamsa means the topmost swan-like personality. We say that every day. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa. Paribrajaka Acharya. Paribrajaka Acharya means the Acharya who's traveling all over the world. And who's Paramahamsa, topmost swan-like. Hamsa means swan. Topmost swan-like devotee. As opposed to a crow. You have the crows and you have the swans. They have different characters, different natures. The swan lives in beautiful, clear waters with lotus flowers, beautiful ponds and lakes. There's 1 or 2 there in Reed Park. Not exactly lotus flowers there, but some bread thrown by the people. So you are on the higher stage of sannyas. You're Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You don't need no stinking danda. You're far beyond that. And Lord Chaitanya, he just accepted. All right. That was the pastime. Tribunga, and the name of that river, I forget. It's in there somewhere. I read it earlier. And that's right here. Kopoteshwara dekite gela bhakta gana sangai. Eta Nityananda Prabhu kaila danda bange. Tira kandikari danda dila bashana. Bhakta sangha aila Prabhu mahisha dekina. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva, known as Kapoteshwara, Nityananda Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas staff in custody, broke the staff in 3 parts and threw it into the river Bharginadi. Later, this river became known as Dandabhanga Nadi. That's from the Madhya Lila, chapter 5. When one is elevated to the status of Hamsa or Paramahamsa, after touring and preaching the Bhakti cult, he must give up the sannyas staff. Like Srila Prabhupada, he's Paramahamsa. So they say they carry the sannyas danda for 10 years, and then you don't have to carry anymore. So these are some of the glories of Lord Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And we thank you all kindly for your attention and attendance. And so now we will open the floor to any questions, comments, or if someone has a favorite pastime of Nityananda Prabhu they would like to tell and glorify the Lord, this would be the time.
We're going to do that later.
Oh, that's what we're going to do later. Okay, so any questions or comments or realizations? Yeah.
One question. So, kind of technical. So you talked about the Chatravyuha, which is, there's the Dwarka Chatravyuha, then there's the Chatravyuha that expands to the Mahavishnu and Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So is Sankarshan and Vasudev in the Dwarka Chatravyuha Krishna and Balaram?
Well, sometimes Krishna, in his Krishna Lila, he acts as Krishna Swayam Bhagavan, and sometimes he acts as Vasudev. For example, it is said that when he's killing demons, he's doing that in his Vasudev feature. And when he's dancing with the gopis, he's doing that in his Krishna Swayam Bhagavan feature. So that's some pretty intense and detailed theology that is beyond most of us, at least for the present, but is understood by those devotees who are scholarly and very much absorbed in the theology of Krishna consciousness. We have some devotees like that in our movement. And they know many things. We have, for example, our Dina Bandhu, who's an expert on Krishna's pastimes in the different places in Vrindavan. He knows all the leelas and all the personalities and all the interactions and the deeper meanings behind those things. And it's Krishna consciousness is very deep and in a very detailed and intense way that we are not having realization of at the present moment. But that state can come later. Just now chant Hare Krishna, follow the four regular principles.
Thank you.
Yeah. Get up early in the morning, chant your rounds, please. Come to Mangalarti, which I will be returning to soon. I've been on a different schedule. I've been getting up early, but I've been chanting all my rounds at home. And the place kind of needed a couple of months of japa. Clear out the neighborhood ghosts and such. So, yeah, sometimes, and it's said that when Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, he speaks as Vasudeva Krishna also.
That was my understanding, that in Dwarka and the later pastimes, it's Vasudeva Krishna and Balaram is Sankarshan, and of course Pradyumna Ruda, the 7 grandsons of Krishna.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Krishna consciousness is such a great universe of understanding the Lord, his pastimes, his devotees, his ontology, the theology. One could spend many, many lifetimes learning these things, becoming absorbed in Krishna consciousness. All right, anyone else? Okay. Fasting till the prasadam will be served out after the next part of the program, which will be some bhajan, some lila, and artik. So, Shri Nityananda Ram ki